Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot and Astrology. Sorry about that. I'm doing this reading on November 28th. It's just barely November 28th where I am. And I'm just going to very briefly talk about two things that are happening in the sky. Pardon my voice, I'm really tired today. It's been a long day. I just wanted to tell you that Saturn goes direct today, depending on where you are. Could have already happened depending on where you live, at 25 degrees of Pisces. And I don't remember when. Yes, I do. I wrote it down. Saturn went retrograde on July 13th and entered, it was in Aries then, and entered Pisces on September 1st. And so is at 25 degrees of Pisces right now, going direct, and then moves back into Aries on February 13th of 2026. So I thought, and also Mercury goes direct on the 29th, Saturday the 29th, at 20 degrees of Scorpio. And then on December 11th, moves back into Sagittarius. So I thought, silly me, I thought that things would feel less weird, like just suddenly. But I should know that Saturn doesn't do anything suddenly. So, Saturn's metal is lead. That tells you something. And he's Father Time. Anyway, I don't know about you, but this has been a strange day. I think every decision, I made a lot of decisions today, most of them small, some of them larger. And every single decision I made the wrong one. Every single one. I wish I could start the day over and just say, you know what, I'm not going to do anything. Anyway, so I'm not copying you-know-who. For those of you who've met me on Gemma's channel, I decided to use the Heart of the Fairy Oracle last night, and I watched her today, and sure enough, this always happens. But I also have a couple shadow cards, so I even got one of the same cards that she drew. I will post again in a few days because on November 30th, Venus moves into Sagittarius. So that's going to be interesting. So anyway, I pulled 3 Heart of the Fairy cards, and it's not what I expected, but they make sense in a strange way. So first off, we have, let me timestamp for people that don't want to listen to me babble about everything. This is a strange energy. So we get the Juggler, and I understand this. I feel like this is all the sped up energy of Mercury having been retrograde, and it just spawns all kinds of weird nonsense, and things go wrong, and then you have to fix them, and I just feel like there has been a lot of mental energy lately, and I forget, we got a bunch of stuff coming up, but I think recently Mercury squared Uranus again for like the 3rd time, and I don't have the date written down. I moved all my stuff upstairs, and now, I'm not this stuff, so I'm goofed up. Anyway, I think this is just that scattered feeling that we get when Mercury has been retrograde, and he doesn't go direct until the 29th, and then, it takes a few days. So just don't scatter your energy in too many directions and spread yourself too thin, because there's a lot that needs our attention now. And we're doing important work, internal work, with all this stuff in Scorpio, and we can't afford to lose what little we've got, I'm going to say. And then this came out, the Speaker of Truth. And this is where you get the answer. You finally see the answer to a really important question. This person will not lie to you. And this, I'm not saying this is a person in your life. This is like your inner compass, or if you ask whatever you believe in for an answer, the truth is available to you now. And I think it's because, as I said, we took a deep dive with all the planets that we've had in Scorpio. We had the Sun and Venus and Mercury and It was a lot. And I think we've retrieved some information that now we get to use going forward. And this is the truth that we were looking for. And I don't know that it dawns on us all at once, but it is there now. Now it's figuring out, with Saturn going direct, it's figuring out how to make use of that in our daily lives. You know, how do we manifest that? How do we take the truth that we've learned, and what do we do with it, and how do we live it? So this is what the Speaker of Truth is here for. You can ask your inner self, or, as I said, whomever, and that should be available to us. Hopefully we've learned something. And I really wasn't expecting this card. We get Tink. And I thought, okay, what's she got to do with it? And then I thought, you know, Tink is about standing up for yourself and having an opinion and not letting anyone sway you, not being moved from your truth. And with Saturn direct, it's more, you're more centered and you're more grounded and you're more persevering, and all the things that Saturn rules with Capricorn. You know, it can be stubborn, but it's also just saying, you know, this is my truth. Now I think I see my truth. I'm not going to be pushed around anymore, and I'm going to stand in my truth. And if you don't like it, too bad. Sometimes, I don't think in this case, but sometimes this can also have the meaning of us being not listening to other people, us being too, why does the word obstreperous come to mind? I'm not even sure I remember what that means. Isn't that being kind of like a little bit too bossy and, you know, argumentative? We don't want to get argumentative, but we do want to stand in our truth. When we realize it, we need to live it. So you know it mentally when Mercury goes direct, or at least it starts coming to you. Probably won't be quite as clear maybe until, I think it'll be clear when it goes direct, but again, it's not going to dawn on us instantly. But when you know it, you got to live it. Feels like a big download to me. And then I don't know why I felt like drawing a couple of shadow cards, and I used this deck, and I forget what they're called. It's Ethereal. I forget who makes them. I don't use them very much because the pictures are weird, but I think they're really beautiful. But weirdly, I drew the Hanged Man, and I thought, wait a minute, Saturn's going direct in Pisces. Don't tell me we're still hanged. And then I thought, well, you know, Neptune is still retrograde, and not retrograde. Neptune's direct. Isn't he? No. Neptune's retrograde, sorry. Goes direct on December 11th, that's right. So I think this is just a reminder that what we don't see is that maybe one of our feet is going forward, but, you know, we're kind of, it's like when a huge machine starts up and turns around or whatever, you know, it's not going to happen suddenly. So we're partly moving forward. At least we can plan, you know, at least we can make a plan now. I think we're starting to see the way ahead, but don't look for any sudden movements. There might be sudden realizations though, but I don't see any sudden movement. Reminder that we're still hanged if we do and hanged if we don't. Okay. But then I got the Eight of Wands. I really do love these cards. I know they don't really make any sense, but I think they're gorgeous. I think this is, you know, I looked this up because I haven't memorized all the astrological correlations of the cards, but they do have them, the tarot anyway, not the oracle cards, but the tarot. And it's Mercury in Sagittarius, which is interesting because it moves into Sagittarius on December 11th, with it, which I think I just said. So this is us taking what we've learned from the Scorpio, you know, energy, us being in the underworld, so to speak, and stuff coming up for us emotionally with all the water sign stuff, and we process it. It's information. It's available to us, and it may not come, since it's the wands and not swords. Of course, Eight of Swords is usually where you're stuck, but the Eight of Wands is movement. This is definite movement. So we start putting it to use, and also we start feeling it. You know, it's movement finally after having been, I know these look like they're opposites. We got the Hanged Man and then the Eight of Wands. But I think the Hanged Man is just reminding us that probably our circumstances aren't going to change overnight. Are those the chakras? Not exactly, but they kind of look like it. Anyway, but there is some movement, even if it's just willpower. You know, there's a feeling of, yes, I want to get something done, and I think I'm getting a clue about which direction in which I need to move from the Speaker of Truth. So I think things are finally on the move. But again, don't look for just sudden. But I think that's interesting that, I said on December 11th, Mercury moves into Sagittarius, and this is the card for Mercury in Sagittarius. So perhaps things will start to really fire up then. And if I haven't already said, Venus moves into Sagittarius on November 30th, so she's going to beat him there. So we will have, let's see, and the Sun's in Sagittarius now, so yay. I think that's going to be a little bit easier on us. Okay, leave me, I was going to ask you something, but now I forgot what I was going to ask you. Oh, never mind, it's too long of a story. It's about birds and dead people. And do they ever talk to you through the birds? Anyway, I'm going to post again soon. I just wanted to do this tonight in honor of finally something going direct. And let me know how this energy is treating you. I love to read your comments. And please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And I will talk to you later. Blessings. Good night.